Welcome back to online classes. Dear students, today I am going to discuss with Indian Penal Code. Okay, on the chapter of offences against property. This chapter under subunit theft, number 1, number 2 extortion, number 3 robbery, dacoity, number 4 criminal misappropriation, number 5 breach of trust, number 6 cheating, number 7 forgery, number 8 mischief, number 9 criminal trespass. Okay, section 378 to 462. Okay student, here introduction of this part it concerns mainly of civil law to deal with wrong to property and possession, but criminal law selects some graver kinds of such wrongs, having regard to the possible effect of such wrongs on social peace and tranquility. Okay, there are civil remedies also for such wrongs. There are 10 forms of such wrongs are represented here. Okay, here theft under section 378, 382. Number 2 extortion under section 383 to 389. Okay, and third one robbery and dacoity under section 390 to 402, and fourth one criminal misappropriation, okay, under section 403 to 404. Number 5 criminal breach of trust under section 405 to 409. Number 6 receiving stolen property, section 410 to 414. 7 cheating, section 415 to 420. 8 fraudulent deeds under section 421. Number 9 mischief, section 425 to 440. Number 10 criminal trespass, section 441 to 462 of Indian Penal Code. The above offences may be grouped in 3 classes. Okay, what are the groups here? Number 1 offence dealing with deprivation of property under section 378 to 424 of IPC. Number 2 offences dealing with damage to property under section 425 to 440. Number 3 offences dealing with violation of the rights of property on order to the commission of some offences under section 441 to 462. Okay, whoever intending to take dishonestly any movable property out of the possession of any person without that person's consent moves that property in order to such taking. Okay, student, and also I just wanted to define the theft. What is the meaning of, as per this section, definition of theft? So before I'm going to discuss with the section and all, what is the meaning of theft as per the IPC? Okay, it is said to commit theft, a thing attached to the earth after it has been severed may become the subject of theft. The severance and the moving may be affected by the same, that is the mere act of severance any amount to theft. Moving may be actual moving, or by removing an obstacle which prevented it from moving, or separating the thing from any other thing. A person who causes an animal and to move everything which is moved by that animal. The consent mentioned in the definition may be express or implied, and may be given either by person in possession or by any person having express or implied authority for that purpose. Okay, under section 378. Okay students, and the section 378 explain about theft. The act explained in briefly, whoever intending to take dishonestly any movable property out of the possession of any person without that person's consent, that property in order to such taking is said to commit theft. As per the section, we have 5 explanation here as per the provision of this act. Explanation, as per the explanation 1, a thing so long as it is attached to the earth, not being movable property, is not subject of theft, but it becomes capable of being the subject of theft as soon as it is severed from the earth. Explanation 2, a moving affected by the same act which affects the severance may be a theft. Explanation 3, a person is said to cause a thing to move by removing an obstacles which prevented it from moving, or by separating it from any other thing, as well as by actually moving it. Okay. Explanation 4, a person who by any means causes an animal to move is said to move that animal and to move everything which is in consequences of the motion so caused is moved by that animal. The last explanation 5, the consent mentioned in the definition may be express or implied and may be given either by the person in possession or by any person having for that purpose authority, either express or implied. As per this section, I just wanted to explain all illustration. Okay, we have nearly A to P illustration. First we'll discuss this illustration, then we'll go to one by one topic. Okay. As per this IPC Act, illustration A means A cuts down a tree on Z's ground. A, okay, A means a person. A cuts down a tree on Z ground with the intention of dishonestly taking the tree out of Z possession without Z consent. Here, as soon as A has severed the tree in order to such taking, he has committed theft. Illustration 2, here A puts a bait for dogs in his pocket and thus induces Z dogs to follow it. Here, if A's intention be dishonestly to take the dog out of Z possession without Z consents, A has committed theft as soon as Z dog has begun to follow A. Okay. The third illustration, A meets a bullock carrying a box of treasure. He drives the bullock in a certain direction in order that he may dishonestly take the treasure. As soon as the bullock begins to move, A has committed theft of the treasure. Okay. And the fourth illustration, A being Z's servant and entrusted by Z with the care of Z plate, dishonestly run away with the plate without Z consent, A has committed theft. E illustration, Z going on a journey, entrust his plate to A, the keeper of a warehouse, till Z shall return. A carries the plate to a goldsmith and sells it. Here the plate was not in Z possession, it could not therefore be taken out of Z possession, and A has not committed theft, though he may have committed criminal breach of trust. Okay, and next illustration F. Here A finds a ring belonging to Z on a table in the house which Z occupies. Here the ring is in Z position, and if A dishonestly removes it, A commits theft. And illustration G. A finds a ring lying on the high road, not in the possession of any person. A, by taking it, commits no theft, though he may commit criminal misappropriation of property. Okay, and another illustration H. Here A sees a ring belonging to Z lying on a table in Z house. Not venturing to misappropriate the ring immediately for fear of search and detection, A hides the ring in a place where it is highly improbable that it will ever be found by Z, with the intention of taking the ring from the hiding place and selling it when the loss is forgotten. Here A, at the time of first moving the ring, commits theft. Okay, illustration I. A delivers his watch to Z. A jeweler to be regulated, Z carries it to his shop. A, not owing to the jeweler any debt for which the jeweler might lawfully detain the watch as a security, enters the shop openly, takes his watch by force out of Z's hand and carries it away. Here A, though he may have committed criminal trespass and assault, has not committed theft, inasmuch as what he did was not done dishonestly. And J illustration. If A owes money to Z for repairing the watch, and if Z retains the watch lawfully as a security for the debt, and A takes the watch out of Z's possession with the intention of depriving Z of the property as a security for his debt, he commits theft, inasmuch he takes it dishonestly. Okay, and illustration K. Again, if A, having pawned his watch to Z, takes it out of Z possession without Z consent, not having paid what he borrowed on the watch, he commits theft, though the watch is his own property, inasmuch as he takes it dishonestly. Okay, illustration I. Illustration L. Here A takes an article belonging to Z out of Z possession without Z consent, with the intention of keeping it until he obtains money from Z as a reward for its restoration. Here A takes dishonestly, A has therefore committed theft. Okay, an illustration M. A, being on friendly terms with Z, goes into a library in Z's absence and takes away a book without Z express consent for the purpose merely of reading it, and with the intention of retaining it. Here it is probable that A may have conceived that he had Z implied consent to use Z books. If this was A's impression, A has not committed theft. Okay, an illustration N. A asks charity from Z's wife. She gives A money, food and clothes, which A knows it belong to Z, her husband. Here it is probable that A may conceive that Z's wife is authorized to give away alms. If this was A's impression, A has not committed theft. Okay, illustration O. A is the paramour of Z's wife. She gives A valuable property, which A knows it belongs to her husband Z, and to be such property as she has no authority from Z to give. If A takes the property dishonestly, he commits theft. Last illustration of in this section, in this chapter P. Okay, here A is a person. A in good faith, believing property belonging to Z to be A's own property, takes that property out of B's possession. Here, as A does not take dishonestly, he does not commit theft. Okay, here, as per the section 378 of IPC, defines theft as the dishonest removal of movable property out of the possession of any person without the consent of that person. Standing timber being embedded in the earth is immovable property, but the moment it is severed from the earth, it becomes capable of being the object of that theft. When then is the nature of possession referred in section 378 of the IPC? Is it merely possession in law or its actual physical possession? The first respondent, though a title was declared, had no actual physical possession of the property, nor were the petitioners in possession of the property, for and on behalf of the first respondent they claimed title over the property for themselves. Hence, no question of any express or implied trust or principle of agency is involved in the matter of possession of petitioners. Here, possession referred to in section 378 of IPC is actual physical possession. Theft has the following ingredients, namely, number 1, dishonest intention to take property. Number 2, the property must be movable. Number 3, movable, it should be taken out of the possession of another person. And fourth one, it should be taken without the consent of the person. Fifth one, there must be some moving of the property in order to accomplish the taking of it, to bring home an offence under section 378 of IPC. The prosecution is to prove that there was a movable property, okay, and that the said movable property was in possession of persons other than the accused. And next point of these ingredients, that the accused took it out or moved it out of the possession of the said person. And another ingredient, that the accused did not dishonestly and with intention to cause wrongful gain to himself or wrongful loss to another. Okay, and last point of this ingredient, as per the section of 378, that the accused took the movable property or moved it without the consent of the possessor of the movable property. Okay, this is what describing as per the section 378 of IPC. Okay, student, and also we'll discuss with same section. Okay, here dishonest intention means, what is the meaning of dishonest intention as per the section 378? These are all ingredients. Okay, the first one is dishonest intention to take property as per the provision, and second ingredient we discussed earlier in the same video. I just wanted to give in short form 5 ingredients is very essential to the constitute the theft. Number 1, dishonest intention to take property. Number 2, the property must be movable. Number 3, such property should be taken out of the possession of another person. Number 4, there must be some moving of property in order to such taking. Number 5, it should be taken without the consent of that person. Okay, the first one of the ingredients as per the section, dishonest intention. Here intention is the gist of the offense. The taking will not amount to theft unless the intention with which it is taken is dishonest. If it is not taken dishonestly, it will not amount to theft. It must be taken with the intention to cause wrongful gain to one person and wrongful loss to another. Both wrongful gain and wrongful loss need not be caused, either is sufficient. Since the definition of thefts requires that the moving property is to be in order to such taking, such meaning intending to take dishonestly. The very moving out must be with the dishonest intention. Okay, and anyone in a leading case, K. N. Megara versus State of Rajasthan. And second point, movable property. Second ingredients. What is that? Here the property is said to be movable when it is capable of being carried about. It is said to be immovable when it is permanently attached to the earth, as in such a state the property in question can neither move nor be moved. Moving objects may also lose the power of locomotion by some obstacle, as were a animal capable of moving. The explanation to the definition contained in section 379 of IPC explained that a property becomes movable when it is severed from the earth, and the possession of another person means that the definition of that theft under the Indian Penal Code differs from the definition of larceny under the English law. As much as under the English law, the property in question must be owned by someone, while under the Indian law it must be in possession of someone. Okay, and moving property in order to such taking, theft is complete the movement thing moved, even though such thing may yet be far from passing into thief possession. Moving a thing is an initial stage in the process of taking, and theft is not of much consequences for determining whether theft has been committed or not. So here what the law contemplates is the intention to take, and actual taking is a step beyond such intention and is not relevant for the purpose of our definition. And third point of these ingredients, consent. What is that? Here the removal of the property must be without the consent of the person in possession of it. No charge of theft can thereof lie where a creditor take property from a debtor who subsequently finds that the debt was time barred and he had been under no obligation to give anything to the creditor. The reason being that such taking, though no longer enforceable at law, is nevertheless with the debtor consent. A consent obtained by force is not a consent. Okay, and also I just wanted to discuss with distinction between the mischief. The essential difference between theft and mischief is that when a person committed mischief, he only causes loss to another but does not gain himself while in theft. He makes a wrongful dishonest gain at expenses of the victim. Okay students, and also punishment for the theft. Under section 379 of IPC explain about whoever commits theft shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend to 3 years. Okay, 3 years imprisonment with both means fine. Imprisonment, 3 years imprisonment, or with the fine, or both fine and imprisonment. Okay students, and also the young age of accused and an undertaking for the good behavior of the accused have been considered to be good grounds of reduction. And in a case of scooter theft by a college student of 19 years age, Supreme Court reduced the sentence of imprisonment from 2 years to 6 months, but maintain sentence of fine rupees 2000. The case, reference case is Ashok Kumar versus State, Delhi Administration. Okay, and another one, theft in dwelling house. Okay, theft in dwelling house, etc. Whoever commits theft in any building, tent or vessel, which building, tent or vessel is used as a human dwelling or used for the custody of property shall be punished with imprisonment of either description for a term which may extend it to 7 years and shall also be liable to fine. Okay, this section applied on section 380. Okay, students, and also I am closing this session. We'll discuss with another section with another class. Okay, students, take care. Bye.